Beloved brothers and sisters in Yeshua, today we gather to reflect on obedience to Yahweh, not as a burden, but as a path to true freedom, blessing, and joy. The world often tells us that rules restrict us, but Yahweh's commands liberate us. His ways lead us into purpose, protection, and peace. Our theme today is simple: we will obey. But what does obedience really mean? Why is it so important? And how can we walk in obedience, even when challenges arise? Let's turn to Deuteronomy chapter 10 verse 12-13, Niv. And now, Israel, what does Yahweh your Elohim ask of you but to fear Yahweh your Elohim, to walk in obedience to him, to love him, to serve Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul, and to observe Yahweh's commands and decrees that I am giving you today for your own good. Notice the last phrase, for your own good. Yahweh's commands are not about controlling us, they are about protecting and blessing us. Obedience brings freedom, not chain. Many people think obedience means losing freedom. But true freedom is not doing whatever we want, it's being free from sin, fear, and destruction. John chapter 8 verse 32, Niv, says, "Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." The truth of Yahweh's word does not enslave us, it releases us from the traps of the enemy. Think about a train. A train is free when it stays on the tracks. The moment it leaves the tracks, it crashes. In the same way, we are most free when we stay on Yahweh's path. Are there areas in your life where you feel trapped? Could it be that Yahweh is calling you back to his way, his track, so you can experience true freedom? Obedience requires trust in Yahweh's wisdom. We obey not because we always understand, but because we trust the one who is leading us. Proverbs chapter 3 verse 5-6, Niv. Trust in Yahweh with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. When Yahweh asks us to forgive, to love, to give, or to step out in faith, it's not always easy. But obedience is saying, Yahweh, I don't always understand, but I trust you. Think about Noah. Yahweh told him to build an ark when there was no sign of rain. People mocked him, but his obedience saved his family and future generations. Think about Abraham. Yahweh told him to leave his home and go to a land he didn't know. His obedience led to a covenant that blessed the entire world. Yahweh may be calling you to take a step of faith today. Will you obey, even when it doesn't make sense? Obedience leads to blessing and purpose. Every command of Yahweh leads to life, not death. Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 1-2, Niv. If you fully obey Yahweh your Elohim and carefully follow all his commands I give you today, Yahweh your Elohim will set you high above all the nations on earth. All these blessings will come on you and accompany you if you obey Yahweh your Elohim. When we obey. 1. Yahweh fights our battles, Exodus chapter 14 verse 14. 2. Yahweh supplies our needs, Philippians chapter 4 verse 19. 3. Yahweh gives us peace and direction, Isaiah chapter 30 verse 21. Obedience is worship. We don't obey out of fear but out of love. True obedience comes from a heart that desires to please Yahweh. John chapter 14 verse 15, Niv. If you love me, keep my commands. Obedience is not about following rules, it's about relationship. A child obeys a loving parent because they trust and love them. In the same way, we obey Yahweh because we love him and know he wants the best for us. Encouragement. Yahweh's grace helps us obey. If you feel like you've failed in obedience, there is grace for you. Philippians chapter 2 verse 13, Niv. For it is Yahweh who works in you to will and to act in order to fulfill his good purpose. We don't obey in our own strength, Yahweh helps us. If we stumble, he picks us up. His grace empowers us to walk in obedience. A call to obedience today. Yahweh is calling us to live in his ways, trust his wisdom, and walk in his blessings. Let's declare together. 1. Yahweh, I choose to obey you, even when I don't understand. 2. I trust that your ways lead to life. 3. I will walk in obedience, not by my strength, but by your grace. Let us say boldly, we will obey. Closing prayer. Father, thank you for your word that gives life. Teach us to walk in obedience, not out of fear, but out of love. Give us strength to trust you and follow your ways. Let our obedience lead to freedom, blessing, and deeper intimacy with you. We declare today, we will obey. In Yeshua's name, Amen.